Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful, wonderful, historical neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so very honored and absolutely delighted that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, CastBox, Audible, Player FM, wherever you find your favorite shows. We have a wonderful show lined up for you today. First up, Myriam Sandler will be here to celebrate Playful by Design. And later in the show, we'll be meeting Gaia Cornwall. She is celebrating her picture book. It's called Fairy Walk. Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. My friends, if you have ever thought about owning a business that's fun, rewarding, and makes a valuable contribution to kids' education, well, Brooklyn Robot Foundry is calling your name. I recently met Jenny Young. She's the founder of Brooklyn Robot Foundry. And let me tell you, she is incredible. Her passion for getting kids excited about STEAM, that's STEM plus art, it's contagious. I'm telling you. This isn't your average kids program. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is all about hands-on, screen-free STEAM fun. These kids get to build a different robot each class and take it home with them afterwards. Kids love it. Parents are raving about it. And now you can own a franchise and bring this incredible experience to families in your community. Now, this isn't your typical franchise. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is a mobile, flexible business with a deep curriculum that's making a real impact in schools and communities around the country. Franchise owners get a proven curriculum, full training, and support from a passionate team. So what are you waiting for? Please visit bit.ly/RobotJed. That's bit.ly/RobotJed. And let them know you heard about it on Reading with Your Kids. Join us right now from the very sunny state of Florida. Our guest is here today to celebrate. Her brand new book is called Playful by Design, your stress-free guide to raising confident, creative kids through independent play. Please welcome to the show, Myriam Sandler. Hey,
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Delighted to have you on. I was glad that I took a nice big breath. I was able to get through your whole title.
I know. I feel like it's a mouthful, but like we need every single one of those words, right? As busy parents, we like them all. Independent play, it's a book, it's playful, it's design. What is it?
Well, you know, the independent play, that's what I want to jump on first, because I've had a number of authors who are also kindergarten teachers, first grade teachers here on the show. And the one thing I am hearing over and over and over is that they're not allowed, kids aren't allowed to play in kindergarten anymore. It's like, boom, right into academic stuff.
Yes.
And we've talked about, even with my kids, I noticed when my kids, who are now adults, when they were younger, like almost every second of their life, someone wanted to schedule it.
Yes.
And it's just crazy.
It is. It's crazy. And I think back to my own childhood, and I had almost no structure, right? We were allowed to be bored. We were allowed to play outside. We were allowed to make up potions in the kitchen or in the bath. Like all of these beautiful things that I remember from my own childhood became my mission of motherhood. I really wanted to bring more play, unstructured play, into children's lives. But how do we do that with a society that is so scared of mess? Mm-hmm. The problem is we are so focused on our house being perfectly organized all the time because I don't know why. Okay. And we can't allow them to just make up their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, we've removed independent play almost out of everywhere. Move it out of your home, out of schools, out of your friends' houses, just everywhere. It's just all structure. So Playful by Design is really a mission to organize your home in a way where kids are allowed to play independently. Like there are so many home organization books and shows. And if you've ever tried to do one of those things, it's like super inspirational, right? I would say actually it's more aspirational, where you're like, wow, that is a gorgeous shelf, or that you see a video on Instagram or TikTok, you're like, that refrigerator looks amazing. So you go to the container store, you get all the containers, and then you put it into your fridge and you're like, no one can reach the eggs. No one can get the strawberries out of that container. So it's mom this, mom that, mom. So we do it to ourselves. We have done it to ourselves. We have removed all of independence. It's not just independent play. It's independence from the refrigerator, independence from the pantry, independence from their bedrooms because their clothing is perfectly organized in a way where if they take out one shirt, all of the shirts come out. So it's just removed independence from everything. Yeah. And it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It really is. Well, I'm glad my kids are older because my son's room certainly was not organized at all. So I guess I did.
Same.
One that we've had a number of illustrators on, and I remember a conversation I had with this really talented illustrator from Italy, and she wrote very creative, imaginative. Her illustrations were just very, very different. And I said, where did you get that? And she said, my parents, they let me draw on the wall. They said, this is your room. Do whatever you want with it. And
that's huge.
She did. And it paid off.
That is huge. And I think one of the things that happened with like this independence and like sensory play and like all of these things, all of these like keywords, I think the first thing that comes into parents' minds, even teachers, is mess, right? That's what I keep going back to. It's like, you think sensory play, you're like, mess. No, run away, like red flag. You think independent play, you're like, oh my God, they're going to run crazy with the scissors and cut their hair. Like there's so many things that you come to mind before it's like, wait, independent play actually gives me as a parent or as a teacher time for myself. Mm-hmm. What? Like that could be really useful, really amazing at times. So when it comes to allowing and setting up spaces for that independent play, going back to that illustration that you were talking about, it's giving kids the tools and showing them how to appropriately use them. So if that parent was very comfortable with them painting on the wall, which I'm okay with it too, because you can just paint over it and nothing happens. But most households are not. And I'm not going to sit here and say like, hey, let your kids paint on the walls, right? Like if you come to my house, it's mostly organized. It's mostly clean white walls. They're like, how do you have an art table with markers, with permanent markers, with glue, with scissors, with what's that glue called? It's like
glue sticks.
Glue sticks. They're like, how do you have all this available to your 2-year-old? And I was like, because I showed her how to use it. I showed her the proper way to use it. I'm like, pen goes on the paper, and if it leaves the paper, then I have to take the pen away. So I've created healthy boundaries around all of these scary thoughts, these like messy situations, and my kids respect it. They respect the space, they respect their tools, and they respect their toys, which at the end, it's the tools of childhood, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if we can create that dynamic in your household, you gain all this time to yourself. You gain all this time for your kids. You give them their confidence. You give them their independence. You give them time. You give yourself time to also engage with them in that situation. People are like, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about me is that I play with my kids all day. People think that because I share kids' activities and I like show different toys and like how to organize them and they think I play with my kids all day. And I'm like, guys, I got a husband. I have 3 kids. I'm an entrepreneur. I run my own business. I have hardly any employees. It's me. They're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, no, it's because I've set up my home in a way where my kids are allowed to live there. Mm-hmm. Simply live there. Just simply not have to come to me. Mom, where's the scissors? Mom, where's the glue? Mom, can I color with these markers? Mom, can I have the paper? Mom, all day long is gone out of my life. So they come home from school, and this was my moment of like, I have to write a book. They come home from school and they have full access to the TV. All access to the TV. If they want to go to it, they can. But they don't. Mm-hmm. They don't. They go to their toys. My daughter is 10, and people keep telling me like, just wait till she gets older. And she like is begging for a phone or begging for her tablet or begging for more time on the TV. She doesn't. And her friends do. Mm-hmm. She doesn't, because she loves, for example, she loves to do costume makeup. So she will create like a bloody cut on her cheek. Where did she get it from? Have no idea. She has no access to the internet, no access to social media, but this is her creative outlet. So I put a little makeup desk in her playroom, and she will come home from school, go to that desk and sit there for hours creating all different looks.
You know, as you were talking about that, and parents are always complaining, oh, the kids, screen time, that's all they want to do. Maybe it's not that the kids really want to be on the screen time as much as they want to get away from their parents.
It's not just get away from their parents. It's that there's nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not against screen time. I am a big proponent that you should use screen time as a tool in your parenting toolbox. Like, I really think that there is moments in the day where perhaps like you're on a really busy call and your kids are home from school, you work from home and you need silence. Turn on a movie. I'm a big, like, this is a tool in your parenting toolbox. You should absolutely use it, but it shouldn't be the only tool in your parenting toolbox. Like, kids need a lot of other interests in their lives, right? Like, I noticed that my daughter loves this. I fostered this creativity for her by allowing her to have a desk and a space where she can confidently do this, right? And the tools that she needed to do it. And I think one of the things that I get all that, they're like, why, how do you not freak out with that white desk with the purple lipstick? And I'm like, honestly, I never thought about it. Mm-hmm. I never thought about it because she's so happy doing her thing. And I'm so happy seeing her do her thing. And she's always coming to me like, Mom, should I do Bluey or should I do SpongeBob? And I'm like, Bluey's a good idea. So it's still collaborative. It's still interactive. And I think one of the most special things about play in children is that as parents, we get to connect through them at their level, right? And it's the same thing as watching a movie that you all love and understand. That's a moment of connection, right? You're disconnected doing something else. But if you're all watching a movie together, that's a moment of connection. Instead of the 9-year-old on their tablet, the 7-year-old on this and that, and the 3-year-old watching the television. And if you're all jointly doing it together, that's a moment of connection. And I think screen time and I think play can both achieve that. But it was that moment of when I noticed that my kids did not run to the television, mm-hmm. that I was like, I think I have something here. Like, I really think I do. And people are like, I don't understand how you do this. And I'm like, because it's not their only option.
Right.
Imagine if you have all of these incredible opportunities in front of you, which for kids, play tools are opportunities, right, to create. So an art table, a makeup table, a building table with all different type of toys, not just Legos. Think about like magnetic tiles. There's so many things that you can build with nowadays. And it's just creating those spaces that are clear and intentional for children where they can go to it and be like, I have an idea. Yeah. Because if you put a drawer and you put the Legos in there and you put the dolls in there and you put the play scarves in there and you put the Play-Doh in there, they open the drawer and they're like, shove it back in. Because what is that drawer meant to do? Am I supposed to play with the dolls? Am I supposed to play with the Play-Doh, the balls? Like there's so many different things in there that you're just like, I don't know. I don't know what this is for.
What do they call that when you have too many choices and you're kind of paralyzed and you think there's a special word for it, but
there is a special word for it.
I'm not smart enough to remember it.
I always say, if you're in doubt, go the Costco method, which the Costco method is one or two different things, options. If you go to the supermarket, you have the ketchup aisle, right? Mm-hmm. You have like 100 ketchups to choose from. The spicy ketchup, the sugar-free ketchup, the 2% ketchup, the gluten-free ketchup. There's so many ketchups. You're overwhelmed, but you probably leave with no ketchup because you're like, I don't know. I haven't done enough research on ketchup, right? Uh-huh. But if you go to Costco, there's two ketchups. Mm-hmm. Two ketchups. Kirkland and a brand that you recognize. And you're probably going to go Kirkland because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're going to buy it.
Yeah.
That's my method for toy organization, whether it's a playroom, where it's your bedroom, whether it's like a organizer on the wall, whatever it is, reduce the amount and you will and I guarantee your kids will play more. It's a guarantee. It's like walking into a kid's store and into a toy store. You want everything. Sometimes you leave with nothing. Mm-hmm. Because you're like, I walked through every aisle, I played with everything, and you know what, I'm not really, or you end up with like a small little something. Yeah. Not really interested, right? It's the same method. The Costco method works.
So do you, while your kids are at school or while they're taking a nap, do you go in the room and go, okay, today I'm going to leave out the Play-Doh or the makeup, and then you rotate that around different days?
Yes. So I have this method that is not a motherhood method. If I'm not mistaken, it was started in Australia. It's the playroom rotation, toy rotation method. And it doesn't mean every day you're going into their space and being like, let me switch their teddy bears for other teddy bears. It's once in a while. When you notice that your kids are like drifting away or their interest from what their available toys are, you switch them from whatever's in storage. It is my husband used to like laugh at me. He's like, this girl spending hours in the playroom, moving the furniture, moving the toys, doing everything, thinking that our kids were going to be interested. Boy, was he wrong. Boy, was he wrong. He saw their faces light up as if it was like Christmas Day. And I got them all new toys, all new furniture. I didn't spend a single dollar, not $1. And what happened is that they rediscovered toys that they have. And I did that by decluttering the space. So all I did was basically removed half of their toys from their play space, the bedroom, the playroom, the nook, and I put those in storage. And they're out of sight, out of mind for a little while, right? And then once I realized that they were not interested anymore, I bring them back. And they're like, oh my God, new toys. And I'm like, oh my God, new toys. Like that's like, how genius is that, right?
Now, did you always, did you set out to be this kind of parenting expert, or did it just kind of happen organically?
It happened organically, and it always happened through I always call it my motherhood moment. And it was with my first daughter. When she was a baby, she had a texture sensitivity, but she was in the 90th percentile of height and weight, yet she didn't eat any solids, only breast milk. And it was driving me insane because the doctor was like, she's fine, she'll eat when she's hungry. And she's like, just reduce the breast milk. So I reduced the breast milk. She still didn't eat any solids. And I noticed she had a texture sensitivity because I would sit her in sand, we live in Miami, or grass, and she would like immediately pick her feet up. So I knew that she didn't like that texture. So I had worked with kids that had ADD and ADHD before I had kids. And we did so much sensory play, and I saw the value that it brought to those children. And I was like, you know what? Let me just start creating sensory. Now she's 1, so I can't just bring in Play-Doh, right? I needed to start creating sensory play recipes that were edible. So I created Play-Doh, slime, sand texture, slimy textures, all sorts of textures out of basically food. My mom, growing up, was a chef, so I had been with her in the kitchen a lot. And 6 months, no joke, she was eating broccoli and salmon. Broccoli and salmon when she went from eating nothing. I would beg her to please eat one chicken nugget, one piece of pasta, nothing. But through sensory play and introducing those textures through play, I was able to get her comfortable with those textures and bring it over to the dinner table and making it an enjoyable experience versus a traumatic one. And it was my motherhood moment. It was my moment of like, oh my God, I did this. Even when the doctors thought that I was crazy, literally crazy. And I did this. And I don't think it was something that she would have grown out of. I think that if we would have gone into 2 years old, I would have gone to an occupational therapist or a speech therapist or some sort of therapy, food therapy, to help her through these textures. So yeah, it's that motherhood instinct that really brought my motherhood moment. And it was very special. So I didn't intend to be this. I started sharing it on social media because I was also a young mom, so I didn't have many friends that were going through this, and I really wanted to connect with other parents that could possibly be going through this. I started sharing my sensory play recipes online, and here we are.
Awesome. So are we going to see a book in the future? Cook your toys or play with your food?
Actually, my followers really wanted something like a book, but I didn't want to create something that was just another cookbook. So I created a digital resource called Motherhood in Your Pocket, where it's basically like a vlog style book, and I guide you through 60 plus sensory play recipes, and it has kids printables and it has all sorts of content, basically helping you kind of like talk you down from the ledge of mess is okay. That was my first step. and that's a digital resource. We constantly add content to it, and it's incredible. And it lives on my website, motherhood.com.
You talking about mess, this memory of my son covered in chocolate pudding just comes to mind. And it wasn't like I left the room and he did. It was like I was there and he started paying. I go for it, dude. And he had such a great time, and it was a mess, but we cleaned it up in like 5-10 minutes. No big.
Yeah. But that mindset, I feel like, doesn't exist anymore. That mindset, and it's also very cultural. I'm Latin. I'm from Venezuela, and my family is very, I wouldn't say, it's aesthetically pleasing is the word. When the baby eats, you need to put a bib on them, make sure their clothing doesn't get dirty, make sure that they're dressed very well. It's just like what we do, right? And I do think that all played into her texture sensitivity, because I wasn't allowing her, like, she would get a little bit of baby food on her mouth and I would immediately wipe it off. So it is very cultural, and it is very, kind of like of the times right now to just let it be that way. And I hope that it changes into allowing, but it's a mindset change. Like your mindset is, who cares? Like, we'll just clean it later. I hope that with Playful by Design, it changes and it gives you perspective. I'm not like revolutionizing the world with my ideas, but I'm almost giving you like, hey, it's okay to allow your kids to have a little bit of mess, and here are the boundaries, and here are the guidelines, and here are the questions that you could ask yourself as to why my kids aren't playing, why they have these sensitivities, or why they gravitate toward the television. Like, I guide you through all of that. And like I say all the time, Motherhood in Your Pocket, Playful by Design is a guide that you can go back to many, many, many times as your kid gets older. Perhaps you're designing a play space right now for your 2-year-old. That play space might become a multi-generational play space where your 2-year-old is now 17 and now you have all of a sudden a 2-year-old again. Or perhaps your kid's playroom or your kid's bedroom has turned into a gaming room. Like, how do I transform a space without spending a lot of money, right? Like, all of these design and organization books and videos and TV shows, you're like, wow. and then you close it and you're like, I'm never doing that, right? Because like why would I even try? I don't have the money to do that, and I don't have the time to do that. Something that we did in Playful by Design was we added illustrations as well as photographs, because I really wanted you to see yourself in a drawing of a shelf versus a picture of a shelf. For example, the drawing of the shelf has toys in a bin, and a picture of a shelf has toys in a bin as well. But if you don't have that bin, you're like, it's not going to look the same.
Okay.
Whereas the illustration, you're like, it's a bin. I have a bin. Let me go grab it, and I could do it right now. So it's something that you can really see yourself in and do today, rather than spending a ton of money, forgetting what you bought, and then trying to organize it later. Which again, at the end of the day, you might need some things, obviously, right? You might be like, you know what? I really need those zipper pouches she was talking about. I'll go get those. But you won't need everything that's on the shelf.
Right.
So we really wanted to make it more inspirational versus aspirational. I think it worked out well.
Awesome. In your book, do you encourage parents to let their kids go outside by themselves, maybe? There's a playground, a very historic playground 2 blocks down from my house, and it is either empty or it's filled, but for every kid, there's 2 parents with the kid, and it's kind of cute and everything, and I like taking my kids to the playground, but it's kind of weird too, because I grew up with, my mom threw me out of the house. Well, that's not probably nice. My mom invited me to leave the house in the morning and said, come back when the streetlights come on for dinner.
I think that we just live in different times. We're too connected. We know too much. We know that down the street there was something that happened 4 blocks down. We just know too much. So it's really hard for parents to be like, yeah, go to the park. And I think it also depends where you live. Like I live in Miami, and in Miami where I live is highly trafficked, right? In my neighborhood, there are no sidewalks. So there's no way that I can tell and there's 2 kids have been hit by cars here. Like there's in my neighborhood. So it depends where you live and your accessibility not accessibility, but how plugged in you are to what's going on, which will dictate whether you're comfortable enough to let your kids go out and play on their own. What I did do in Playful by Design is I included a chapter for outdoor play, because I think it is one of the most underrated places, whether you have a balcony, a small backyard, a giant backyard, grass, no grass, whatever it is, one of the most underrated places for play. So I give you a step-by-step on how to set up that space to get the most use out of it. And I also included illustrations for balcony, for a backyard with a hill, or a flat backyard, or whatever, so that you can see yourself creating that space that is safe for your child. So one of the things that we suffer nowadays as a society is we have very low vitamin D, right? Most of us get a blood test and our vitamin D is really low. That's just because we don't go outside. We don't. We just don't go outside, and we don't allow our kids to go outside. So I think that was one of the chapters in my book that I really paid a lot of attention to, because it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? It doesn't have to be just go do your thing and come back. It could be, hey, here are boundaries that I've created that I know are safe for you. Go and play.
Yeah. I love that, because I think even me just suggesting kids walk down to the playground by themselves, I imagine a lot of parents' heads these days would just explode. Yeah. But it's obvious that you've given parents a choice to get their kids outside in a way that is safer and parents would feel better about. I'm curious, you mentioned your, Playful by Design is a book that we're talking about today, but you've also mentioned your Mother Could kind of branding. Can you just tell us a little bit about Mother Could, what that means?
Definitely. So everything started with what I mentioned with my daughter, with her texture sensitivities. And one day I was talking to my husband and I was like, I really want to create a platform. I wasn't really thinking about a platform. I was looking for connection with other parents. And I wanted to call it something that wasn't Myriam Sandler. This wasn't about me. This was about other parents coming to a place where they can feel identified, or they can feel themselves like have somebody to be relatable with, basically. Going through the same situations, the same, wherever you are in the world, we all have the same problems or solutions when we're parents, right? So I was talking to my husband today. I was like, how can we do this where it's positive and engaging for mothers? And he goes, why don't you call it motherhood? And I was like, genius, motherhood, right? Mm-hmm. So again, I started creating these sensory play recipes. And in 2019, the videos from Tasty, from that food channel, was very popular with like overhead shots of like 1-minute videos of just hands and food, basically. Uh-huh. And I started creating those videos, but for play. Okay. And those videos didn't exist then for play. And that was the moment where my sensory play recipes went from here to here, and it reached a lot more people because we are busy parents, right? We don't have time to see a picture, read the caption, try to do it. No, we wanted something quick and easy to engage with that we can see and be like, I can make that Play-Doh. It's just flour, salt, cream of tartar, and water. That's it. Perfect. I can do that. So those videos went viral, and it grew my platform pretty large. And then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And all of our children were sent home. It was hard, which actually, that was like now 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Crazy. So all of our kids were sent home, and all of a sudden, mom started coming to me like, how do I entertain my kids? And one of the things that I sought out to do with motherhood is differentiate itself from kids' activities, blogs. Because if you look at a kids' activity, whichever one, you need googly eyes, you need paper, you need special markers, like you need all of these things. And I don't want to go to the store and buy all this stuff. So if I didn't have all this stuff to make my recipes in my head already in my house, I didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And that's why the pandemic was so big for me, because everybody was stuck at home with nothing and they couldn't go buy anything. So they came to me and they were like, I can do that right now. I have water, I have glue, I have flour, I have all these things to make your stuff. And it brought my my community much closer in a time that we all needed it, and it grew it a lot.
Awesome.
It was very, very, very cool. And I would say that post-pandemic, like 2 years after the pandemic, was when I grew, I would say, the most. Mm-hmm. And that's because of the rise of videos and the rise of the way social media was at the time. And if it wasn't for always sticking to community and really connecting with people, they're social platforms. You have to be social. Mm-hmm. I don't think motherhood would be what it is today. Yeah. But it is that, a community.
I'm delighted that it is growing. I think these are great ideas, and I love what you're putting out there. Please tell everybody where they can go to find out more about motherhood and Playful by Design.
Of course. Motherhood, you can find everywhere on social channels. It's just Motherhood. Motherhood in Your Pocket is on motherhood.com. It's always there. It's my blog. And you can find all my sensory play recipes on there as well. And Playful by Design, you can find anywhere books are sold, on Amazon, in stores, Audible as well, everywhere.
And we always encourage families, when they hear about a great storybook or picture book, to go to the public library and ask that they think that this would be a great book, great resource for parents that they could find in a public library. So go down, request that book, Playful by Design, from our guest, Myriam Sandler. Myriam, this has been a blast. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Hey, my friends, would you like to bring a little warmth and magic into your home? Let me introduce you to Welsh Mountain Candles, hand-poured on a working Amish farm in Lancaster County. These all-natural, toxin-free candles are made from palm wax with a stunning crystallized glow, rich coconut apricot wax for a creamy finish, and essential oils for a pure, refreshing scent. Whether you're winding down, setting the mood, or just love a great candle, Welsh Mountain Candles are crafted with care and made to be shared. Visit welshmountaincandles.com. Use the promo code JED10 for 10% off your order today. Light up your home with Welsh Mountain Candles, where every candle tells a story. I think we're going to have a gay old time speaking with our guest today. She's here to celebrate. Her new picture book is called Fairy Walk. Please welcome to the show, Gaia Cornwall. Hey, Gaia, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Delighted to have you on Fairy Walk. I was just mentioning to Gaia that my beautiful wife and I spent some time in Ireland a few months ago, and when we were there, we heard all about the fairies that were scattered all around the different castles and piles of rock that used to be a castle. And the fairies in Ireland, they weren't necessarily nice creatures. They were kind of mischievous. Are we reading about a mischievous fairy in Fairy Walk?
So, no, the fairies in Fairy Walk are pretty sweet.
Oh, no.
But yes, I know lots of cultures have very mischievous fairies. Ireland, someone was just telling me about fairy forests in Ireland. And then I know in Iceland and other Nordic countries, they can be even a little bit mean. But yes, no, I'm dealing with very sweet, kind fairies.
Awesome. Yeah, we took a horse-drawn buggy. I don't know if that's what they call it, but a buggy ride through a fairy forest.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it was very, very early morning, chilly, but also very cool. Saw lots of deer and fox and no fairies, but
perfect. That's my book.
Yeah. So tell us about the book. What's the name of the fairy do your fairies have names?
So the fairies don't have names. The book's called Fairy Walk, and it's about 3 kids who are going into the woods behind their house and kind of exploring on their own. And they start off by saying that they're going to go on a fairy walk and they're looking for fairies. And along the way, they find all these other fun things. And it turns out the dog sees the fairies and the kids actually miss them. But then the reader can see them and points them out, and they're right there, and the kids keep missing them.
Oh, cool. I'm guessing that's one of the fun thing. I can imagine reading the book and the kids on the pages can't find the fairies, but the kids sitting on my lap are going to be, it's right there. Look, just open up your eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, because I remember growing up reading books like that, and or even better is when you notice a couple of them on the first read, but then when you're reading it again, you're kind of amazed because you notice all these other little details. So that's what I was really trying to shoot for this one.
Awesome. What was the inspiration for the book?
Yeah, so during COVID, we ended up living with family in Vermont. We were really lucky to do that. And they also had little kids. And my kids were pretty young at the time. They were, how old were they? 6 and 4. And we would go on walks every day, kind of sanity walks in the woods every day, rain or shine, and or snow. And yeah, it just came out of that. And just seeing the different seasons, it's just kind of that like open play, like you're just exploring. Your kids are wearing like everything from nothing but boots to, crazy dress up clothes. And we've got our flashlights and, I don't know, baskets and snacks. And we're just going out to see what we can see. And along the way, at some point, it became about looking for fairies. And so we would like build little things for them. So yeah, the book is very much based on doing that with my kids.
Cool. Do a lot of ideas for your writing come from time spent with your kids?
Yes and no. It's interesting. So my first book, Jabari Jumps, came out. I started working on it much before I had kids. And then it was interesting because the story was basically set. But while I was finishing it, my son was about 2 or 3. And I remember really, I really identified with the dad because we would go to the playground every other day. We were like at this playground. And, so in the morning I would be drawing this dad who's like very kind and supportive and patient. And then, I would go to this playground and watch my son climb up the ladder and look down the slide and just be like, no, like not doing it today. So it felt very similar to Jabari on the ladder and the diving board. But yeah, the story was already set. So I feel like sometimes my stories and ideas mirror my family, and sometimes they just kind of come up. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and I was like a nanny / babysitter since, I don't know, all through high school, college, early 20s. So I've been around kids for a while.
That's great. You kind of like still babysitting in a way, in that your stories are having a calming influence on kids and families.
I hope so. That would be, yes, that's a lovely way to think about it.
I'm curious. I love when we have author illustrators on, and I love to ask, what came first, the images or the story?
Yeah, that is always so hard for me to parse out. I know it seems like such an obvious question, but it's always kind of a mix. Even when I'm working on the writing and the stories, I always see images in my mind, even if I haven't drawn them yet. So it's a lot of back and forth. With this one, with Fairy Walk, I think, yeah, I actually have a drawing that I did around the same time, and it's pretty much the characters that I ended up with. And it was just this little sketch, and, they've got the umbrella and the raincoats and boots. So that one, I guess, really did start with that sketch. But then I go into writing more after that. So, and then I kind of switch back and forth.
Okay.
It's kind of convoluted. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard it isn't like a separate process where I'm like doing the drawings and then only doing the writing for periods of time. It's always back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm just so fascinated because I have zero ability to create visual art on my own with Canva and all those tools. It's fine. It's like I can do that. But in terms of drawing something, it just doesn't happen. And so I'm jealous of folks who have that ability.
Yeah, I just have never not been drawing. So I think it's just such a part of how my brain works to be that visual, that for a long time I just assumed everyone's brain works like that. And so, yeah, it is really hard for me to separate it out because it's just such a constant part of my life every day, every second.
When you were taking care of kids, were you always creating stories for them, creating art for them, with them?
I think so. I think I was more following their lead. One of the things that I love about little kids is that they are such storytellers, and they're so into telling stories and make believe and everything's a character and they're usually very complicated. And I think it was more me going along with it and kind of not really facilitating, but I guess encouraging it and enjoying it. And then, yeah, a lot of art would happen too. I think I was always open to it, and most of the families that I worked with always had art supplies around. And so I'm sure we were, I don't remember encouraging kids especially, but I'm sure I was like, let's do this. Or they said that, and I was excited and happy to do that as well. So
Had you, the idea of being an author, illustrator of children's books, was that something that you always aspired to do?
that's so interesting. So when I was little, I have really strong memories of, we went to our public library every week, if not more. And I remember even before I could read, sitting in the stacks and like taking out books and being very particular about which picture books I wanted to take home and which ones I was kind of like not worth my time. And it was really based on the illustrations at that point. And I had very strong opinions. And so I think, but for some reason it didn't click that was like a job that you could do for a while. And then when I went to college, I went to art school, Pratt, in Brooklyn, and I wanted to do it then, but I was a little bit nervous about the whole idea of freelancing. I took an illustration class, and I really did not do well in it. And I also loved animating, so I ended up doing animation and film. And so I did a little bit of that after school, and I think I just became very intimidated by doing picture books because I love them so much. Uh-huh. I had very high expectations for myself. So I did like lots of researching. I worked on Jabari jumps for like literally 10 years. It changed a lot, and it wasn't obviously like every day for hours and hours, but yeah, I have a little bit of a perfectionist streak, and I think they mean so much to me that I wanted to make sure I was doing the genre justice.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Neat. Now that you are an author illustrator, how has that changed you?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, like, I was listening to a creative today and talking about anytime he meets somebody who says, "Oh, I'm an aspiring filmmaker," he said, "No, you're either a filmmaker or you're not. So call yourself a filmmaker." You had this idea of being an author illustrator, and it was taking you time. You're researching, probably finding ways to kind of put that off because I don't think I'm good enough. And now you're good enough. You're there. How has that changed the way you see the world?
So it's interesting that you say I'm good enough and I'm there. Because I think I am trying to be more confident about this, but I still feel a little bit like every book I get to do, there is a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, they're going to let me do another book. Like I'm so happy to get to do this. Like it still feels, like such a treat. It's such a gift, and I don't take it for granted. And yeah, publishing is just such a long road. Everything takes forever. And, it is hard to break into. So maybe that's part of it as well. Yeah, that's interesting though. I wish I had more of that attitude.
Well, we're going to plant that seed in your mind.
Yeah.
A growth mindset. And,
yes.
So next time when the next book comes out, you're going to come back here and go, yes.
I have grown for sure since Jabari Jumps. I really was kind of like shocked or not shocked that they wanted to make another book, but like just so thrilled and was not like, obviously there'll be all these other books. So I am becoming more confident in my position in this industry. But yeah, it's a thing I'm working on.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if someday you will be like another guest that we had on, another Connecticut resident, Jane Yolen, who has over 400 books out in the world.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, Jane Yolen's work. Yes, I would love to be her when I grow up.
Tell me, is there work in progress that you can give us a sneak peek about?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. So I would really love to do each of the seasons for Fairy Walk. And I have a pitch and a dummy and the manuscript all ready to go for winter. And I have lots of ideas. I've been like keeping notes about, the different foliage and flowers and mushrooms and everything. So everything's timed correctly. I tried really hard to make sure that was accurate in the first book, that it's all springtime. Cause there's definitely some animals and bugs and stuff that I wanted to put in, and I knew I couldn't. So I'm really hoping that happens. That would be really fun. I kind of love books when you get to see the same place different times of the years, like the seasons. I grew up in New England, and that's such a big part of living here is the seasons. So that would be really, really fun. And then I am kicking around an idea with these 2 dogs, and I'm not totally sure what's going on with them, but we'll see.
Awesome. Well, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Fairy Walk and find out more about you.
Yeah, I'm online at GaiaCornwall.com, and it's GAIA and CORNWALL. And then you can also find me on, social media through that as well.
We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Fairy Walk, brand new picture book from our guest, Gaia Cornwall. Hey, Gaia, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Hey, we also hope that you liked it so much it will inspire you to write a 5-star review on whatever platform you are listening to the show on. And if you happen to use multiple platforms, we'd love for you to share it on every platform. We really appreciate you listening to us today and helping us grow the army of people that are part of our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We'd love for you to connect with us on social media, Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram, and @JedleyMagic on X. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids. And of course, our website, it's readingwithyourkids.com. If you are an author, please be sure to click the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page. You can find out how you can be a guest here on Reading with Your Kids. Being a guest gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all over the world about your fantastic children's book. It also lets you know about our very affordable and really effective promotional services. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Myriam Sandler. Please be sure to check out Playful by Design, your stress-free guide to raising confident, creative kids through independent play. I also want to thank Gaia Cornwall. Please be sure to check out Fairy Walk. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Stella Sheree. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.